Hello, this is Jody, and this is my fourth video assignment for system thinking. This will include the materials from the fifth lecture. Here we go. As usual, first we have the general outline of the whole video. Now first, the review of the previous assignments, and second, we're going to discuss about shared vision. First, what is shared vision? Second, discussion and dialogue, and third and the last, advocacy and inquiry. Now first up on the review is about system and system thinking. Well, what is a system? A system is a group of interacting, interrelated, or interdependent components that form a complex and unified whole. A system is arranged in a specific way, has a specific purpose, and have feedback. Next, what is system thinking? System thinking studies systems from the perspective of the whole system, its various subsystems, and the recurring patterns in the relationships between the subsystems. Next one on the review, we have system thinking as a special language. The visual tools of a system thinking are the causal loop diagram, the timeline, and the bubble map. All of these help us to understand how a system works and understand the relationship of the factors between them. They help us to understand the big picture of problems. About personal mastery, there's purpose and vision. Purpose is a reason for being. It answers the question, why do I exist? Meanwhile, vision is a desired future state. It answers the questions, what do I want to create? Next on the review is about mental models. Now, what are mental models? Mental models is a framework for the cognitive processes of our mind that determines how we think and act. Mental models are always incomplete. They guide how we think and act, and they lead us to treat our inference or conclusions as facts. In mental models, we have the ladder of inference. It is the human observation where we apply mental models in which our assumptions, conclusion, and beliefs lead us to the action we choose. At the bottom of the ladder, there's data and data selection, and add meanings, then make assumptions, and then draw conclusions, and adopt the beliefs, and finally take action based on the beliefs. There's a reflexive loop where our beliefs will affect what data we select next. As we go further up the ladder, it becomes more abstract. Flawed mental models cause us to make mistakes in abstraction, and as the end result, we act inappropriately. From the learning organization view, we have learned about personal mastery, system thinking, and mental models. Now we'll discuss about shared vision. First, the definition. What is shared vision? It is the ability of a group to form and hold a common picture of desired future that members seek to create. Now, what does it mean to have a shared vision? A shared vision begins with the individual, and an individual vision is something that one person holds as a truth. The shared vision of an organization must be built on the individual visions of its members. What this means for the leader in the learning organization is that the organizational vision must not be created by the leader. Rather, the vision must be created through interactions with the individuals in the organizations. Only by compromising between the individual visions and the development of these visions in a common direction can the shared vision be created. The leader's role in creating a shared vision is to share their own vision with the employees. This could not be done to force that vision on others, but rather to encourage others to share their vision too. Based on this vision, the organization's vision should evolve. Shared vision allows an individual to see an uplifting future and accept all possibilities. It is about collectively taking into account all knowledge, passion, and experience of a group and finding a clear and concrete vision for everyone and eventually solve problems. Now here's an example of shared vision. John Brown, with his vision of a holy war to free the slaves, which peaked in his attack on Virginia in 1859. He had a vision of freeing the slaves. Obviously, this was not a vision that he came out of his own mind. He must have taken the slaves' vision and shared it with them. Clearly, if the slaves had truly preferred to slay enslaved, John Brown's vision could not have existed. The slaves' sense of shared vision made it possible for them to die by John Brown's side, but they did not die for Brown, they died for a shared vision. The role of shared vision in conversations is to solve problems among members. There are two kinds of conversations: discussion and dialogue. Now we will see the difference between them. Now, with discussion, we break issues into smaller parts and see the differentiation between parts. Later, we define the assumptions from those parts and finally gain agreement at one meaning. Different from discussion, a dialogue sees how parts combine into one, and we see the connection between those combined parts. And later, we inquire into assumptions, and finally, we create a new shared meaning which we gain from the combined parts. There are two important terms that we should know in shared vision. They are advocacy and inquiry. Advocacy is stating your views, describes what you think, how you feel, expresses judgment, urges action. Inquiry is asking questions to get information from others. Now here's a small example of advocacy and inquiry. When a family is deciding on the next holiday destination, the father advocates or states his views that the family should go to Hawaii. But to get information of other sites, he inquires or asks his son of other exciting places. When the information is collected, the family then can make their final decisions on where the family should go for the next holiday, and finally came to a final shared vision. Now, how is this shared vision connected with system thinking? First, we must remember about system. A system is a group of interacting, interrelated, or interdependent components. In a group, the members are like a system. They have their own vision and they interact with each other until they reach a shared vision. Now, furthermore, system thinking studies things in a holistic way and helps to understand the interrelationships that shapes the behavior. In this case of shared vision, through understanding the interrelationships between the group members, we then are able to shape the final decision based upon the shared vision. This is the end of my assignment, and you can find the YouTube link on my presentation. Have a nice day.